What up, free bro? Salvation. Hey, you got many minds. You think about salvation, get the dance. My flesh vain, it's my heart not trouble, I will pain. We trust in Abba, he the one that kill your problems. We thanking Abba, now we know about that lava. The streets of gold, walking on that road, I can't sell my soul. Hell no, I'ma be the light everywhere I go. Ain't no vaccine up in the temple. The devil know that the most I dwelling in you. They trying to shoot you up, that should really offend you.
My cry for mercy as I call on you for help, as I lift up my hands towards your most holy place. I just wanna be worthy. I just wanna be
Shalawam, shalawam. Let's give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Father, the Ancient of Days, the giver of life, the taker of life, our Father, your Father, YAHAWAH, Allah, and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi, who the world calls in English Jesus Christ. Shalawam, shalom, peace and blessings to all of the Ahchyam, the Ahchwathyam that are scattered to the four corners of the earth. We say shalom, peace and blessings to you. Thank you for tuning in. And for those that may tune in later, the water, thank you. Please do us a favor for the ministry. It would help it go a long way. We greatly appreciate it. If you get the like button, the subscribe, and share button, right? That helps the ministry go out. That helps it go out into the algorithm. And it helps the edification to go out. And that's why we do what we do. So the water for tuning in. Shalom, shalom, chapter man, as he says, shalom, the water for tuning in. We have a great lesson today, as you can see from the title, right? How to walk by faith. How to walk by faith. In order to be in this truth, in order to believe in the Most High, in order to believe in his only begotten Son, you have to walk by faith. That's the only way that it can be accomplished and that it can be done. You have to have faith. A lot of people say they believe in the Bible, or they believe in the words that are written in the Bible, the words of the Most High. But the actions that they put out, or the actions that they give, don't show that they really believe, or that they really have faith in the Most High, or have faith in his Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi, the one who walked the earth, Christ, right? So by our actions, and James went into this a lot, but by our actions, that's how we show that we truly have faith in the Most High. That's how we show. So as we get into this lesson today, once again, the water, thank you for tuning in. For those that didn't say their prayer this morning, remember, every morning that you wake up, give praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Father, the Ancient of Days. And thank him for waking you up, for giving you another chance at life, to be able to repent, ask for forgiveness, move forward, and serve him 10 times harder. So we do that this morning. So all praises be to him. Let's get into these scriptures. The first one I want to go to is going to be in the book of Jeremiah. And the reason I want to go there, and I'm just going to read one verse, is Jeremiah 32 and 27. You can see it on the screen, right? Let me blow it up just a little bit more. And the reason I wanted to read this is because a lot of times we try to put the Most High Yahweh in a box, and he's not in a box. He's not like us. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts, right? In Isaiah, the book of Isaiah. So it says right here in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 32, verse 27, behold, I am Yahweh. So he wants you to behold something. He's telling you as you behold this that he is the Most High Yahawah. Then he says the Allah, which means in Hebrew power, he's the power of all flesh. So he has power over all flesh. Every individual that's on this earth, the Most High Yahawah has power over that individual. It says, is there anything too hard for me? With a question mark. And we know that there's nothing in this universe that's too hard for the Most High Yahawah. And he's asking this question, who is he asking it to? Us. Because we're the ones that always doubt if the Most High can do this. Doubt if the Most High is watching over me. Doubt if the Most High is going to allow for this to happen. We always have doubt in our mind. But the first thing that it says in the book of Hebrews, let's go there real quick. Hebrews 11, chapter 1, and then we'll move on to some other ones. Hebrews 11 and 1, it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So you have to hope internally inside for something. What is that hope that we have? That we will be resurrected and that we will be with Hamashiach Yahawashi and that we will be in that kingdom with Hamashiach Yahawashi and that we will serve Hamashiach Yahawashi and the Father in the first resurrection. That's our hope. But in that hope, in Hebrews is letting us know the evidence of things not seen. Me personally, in this flesh, I have not seen Hamashiach Yahawashi. I have not seen the Most High Yahawah. I haven't seen Peter, Paul, Bartholomew, Matthias. I haven't seen any of those people that I read about. King David, Solomon, Adam. But yet I believe that those people existed. I believe that they followed the Most High, and I believe that they have faith. Just as we should have faith or need to have faith. So it's a lot in the book of Hebrews that goes into faith. But I wanted to establish verse 1 because a lot of people say they have faith, but they always want to see something. They always want to be showed a sign, a wonder. People want to know, is the Bible really real? The words that are written in the Bible, are they really true? Well, anyone who really believes in the word of the Most High, that believes in the Holy Bible, you would have to ask yourself this question and know to yourself, do you truly have faith? Because in order to believe in the Most High, in order to believe in Hamashiach Yahawashi, in order to believe in the Holy Bible that we have, you have to have faith. And faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That's what faith is. Something that you believe in that you have not seen yet. It has not manifested itself. Now, we may not see it with our physical eyes. But the beautiful thing about this, let me see if I can get this. Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8. Let me see. The beautiful thing about this is that, yes, we have not seen the Most High with our own eyes. Now, we seen his works. We see rain. We see thunder. We see clouds. We see snow, right? We see the birds. We feel the air on us. We see the sun come up. We see the moon. We see the stars. So we see his marvelous works. We see what he left for us to kind of marvel at, kind of look at and say, wow, these are the marvelous works of the Most High. But at the same time, we have never seen the Most High. Hamashiach Yahushua left the gospel behind for us. But yet we have never seen Hamashiach Yahushua. So when we read things like this in the book of Romans, this is also how we kind of know that faith, the spirit, Hamashiach Yahushua, and the Most High are true. I'm going to start at verse 13. It says, for if you live, or ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if you through the spirit, or the Rakah, do mortify the deeds of the body, you shall live. So mortify means to put to death, right? So we have to put to death something in our body. And it's speaking about deeds, some type of works, right? One of the flesh and one is of the spirit. One, if you serve of the flesh, you will die, Paul is saying. But if you serve the one of the spirit, or the Rakah, you will live. Verse 14, for as many as are led by the Rakah of the Most High, they are the sons of the Most High. So give us some insight right here that you could be led by what? The Rakah, the spirit of the Most High. And how do you know if you're led by the Rakah of the Most High? Well, you want to do the things that the Most High said do. Because it's the Rakah, the spirit that's alive in you, that's telling you that, hey, you need to do these things. Stop living for your flesh. Paul says in verse 15, for you have not received the Rakah of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the Rakah of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. So the way you know, even though you have not seen the Most High, right? Let me put this up a little bit. The way you know, even though you have not physically put your eyes on the Most High, even though you have not physically put your eyes on Hamashiach Yahushua, right? And none of the other prophets. The way you know is through the Rakah, through the spirit. Verse 16 says, notice in 15, Salakia, it says, we cry what? Abba, Father. And now if you're in that position in your life to where you no longer using English, I mean, you could say Father in English if you want to. But if you crying in the Hebrew, Abba, and in the Paleo Hebrew, Abba Nawa, which means our Father, right? If you are doing this in the spirit, Paul says in verse 16, the Rakah itself beareth witness with our Rakah, with our spirit, that we are the children of the Most High. How does it do that? Because you want to follow and walk in the ways of the Most High. You don't want to live contrary to the words of the Most High. You want to live for the Most High. It's something inside of you impelling you to walk in the ways of the Most High. That peace, that fun, that joy that you used to have before you came into the knowledge of the truth of the Most High, you don't have that anymore, right? And we know that because Paul says it. Hold on, let me get this real quick, and then we'll go. Romans 6, verse 20, right? For when we was in the world, we didn't that spirit hadn't been awakened yet. We hadn't been called yet. But now that you're in the truth, now that you have an understanding of the Most High and His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushua, now that spirit is awakened. You have a calling on you. Now that spirit is bearing witness. Now you have an obligation to do what's right. Paul says in verse 6 and 20, Romans 6 and 20, it says, for when you were servants of sin, slaves of sin, when you didn't know any better, when you was just in the world, you hadn't been called out of darkness yet into the marvelous light. For you, when you were servants, slaves to sin, you were free from righteousness. You were free. You didn't have an obligation to walk and be holy. You didn't have an obligation to walk in righteousness. Why? Because you were a slave to sin. That's what I mean. Those things are no longer joyful anymore. Those things are no longer what they used to be, because now you have been called out of darkness into light. Now you have an understanding that the Spirit is bearing what? Witness. That the Most High is impelling you. He's calling on you to walk in what? Righteousness. Comparative text, as you can see, the New Living Translation says, when you were slaves to sin, you were free from the obligation to do right. You wasn't obligated because you were blind, basically. You were in darkness. You didn't know any better. You hadn't been taught any better. The Spirit hadn't woke up yet. But now that the Most High has put that calling on you, he's brought you out of that darkness into the marvelous light. He has given you his word. He's cleansing you with this word. The Spirit, the Rakah, is bearing witness that you are a child of the Most High. As we can see here, now you're not free from that. Now you do have an obligation. See, you were free from an obligation, but now you do have an obligation. Why? Because you've been called, right? You've been called. He has given you this understanding. And with this understanding is some things that go with it. And one of them is faith. One of them is faith. So with that understanding, let's get into some more, right? Let me go to the book of Psalms real quick. Psalms chapter 14. Psalms chapter 14. Once again, those that are tuned in, the water for tuning in, I appreciate it. All praises to the Most High that he woke you up this morning. Psalms chapter 14, verse 1. Of course, you can see on the screen, it says this is a Psalm of David. Verse 1. The fool have said in his heart, there is no Elohim. So when we read this, how many fools are there in this world that we live in that say that there is no God? There is no deity, right? That the Most High, he doesn't exist. The Bible says they are corrupt. They have all done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Yahweh looked down from the Shemayim upon the children of man to see if there were any that did understand and seek the Most High. Are you seeking the Most High? Are you doing the things that the Most High has told us to do within his instructions of his holy Bible, the Torah, the writings, the prophets, the New Testament, right? Verse 3. They are all gone aside. They are all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good. No, not one. And for those that grew up not in the truth, all praises to the Most High that now some of our children that are being raised or being born are actually being raised in the truth. They're receiving the word as soon as they come out the womb. All praises to the Most High. But for a lot of us, that wasn't the case. We were in the world before the Most High called us out of this darkness. And you have to understand this, that everybody was filthy at one point in time. That's why he says, no, not one. Verse 4, have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge? Meaning everybody that's in sin, they don't have any knowledge, no knowledge at all, who eat up my people, right? Eat up my people, destroy my people, consume my people as they eat bread and call not upon Yahweh. People that are in darkness, they're not calling on the Most High Yahweh. They're just calling on Jesus. And everybody's worshiping Jesus. But Yahawashi himself, Hamashiach, Christ, he said there's only one that we worship, and we worship the Father. So a lot of people are lost and being misled in the direction of who they are worshiping and actually who they have faith in, who they put their trust in. Verse 5, there were they in great fear, for the Most High is in the generation of who? The righteous. You have shamed the counsel of the poor, because Yahweh is his refuge. I'm going to stop right there. I could keep going, but I'm going to just stop right there. Let me go to the book of Joshua real quick. Chapter 1. A lot of us don't have this. And even in, I'm showing in the old and in the new that we should have these things, right? This is Joshua, the one who was given basically the reign after Moses, right? Because this is after Moses died. As you can see, verse 1, it says, now after the death of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, came to pass that Yahweh spake unto who? Joshua, the son of Nun. Moses ministered, saying, so this is after Moses is passing. He's kind of giving the torch to Joshua. Now Joshua is going to lead the people off into the land that flows with milk and honey, correct? But in that, the Most High and Joshua are having some conversation. I'm going to jump down to verse 7. In verse 7, it's stating here and telling Joshua, only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right or to the left. So you can't turn right hand, left hand. You have to stay right on task, that thou mayest prosper in whithersoever thou goest. So whatever you do and wherever you go in life, if you hearken and you obey and observe according to do all of the law, the things that the Most High told us to do, and live here on this earth, whatever you do, you will prosper. Verse 8, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night. So we should be meditating on the word of the Most High day and night. Not just in the day, not just for an hour, not just to watch this video, right? Not just to get the verse of the day, but you should be meditating on his word day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. Salakia. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee, be strong. So this is a command. Have not I commanded thee, be strong. The same things that was commanded then is the same thing that's commanded for us now. We have to be strong and walk in what? Faith. In order to walk by faith, you have to be strong. You have to be. Because people are going to come up against you. Once again, something that's unseen, something that you hope for. The world is going to come up against you. And if you're not strong enough, you may crumble. You may fall. You may go to the right hand or you may go to the left hand. But the Bible, Joshua, the son of Nun, is letting us know that we need to be strong and of good courage. And listen, be not afraid. Don't be afraid. When you are afraid, that's a lack of faith in the Most High and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi. Neither be dismayed, for Yahweh thy power is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. So we're commanded to be what? Strong and of good courage, and be not afraid. Neither be thou dismayed. Now, this is in the Old Testament with Joshua, right after Moses. Same thing he told Moses. The same thing is being relayed in the New Testament about our faith. Let's get that. 2 Timothy real quick. 2 Timothy chapter 1. 2 Timothy chapter 1. The same thing is being relayed from Joshua chapter 1 all the way in the New Testament to Timothy, right? All the way in the New Testament to Timothy. Trying to see where I want to start. I'll read 5 all the way down, right? 5, it says, when I call to remembrance the unfringed faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice, I am persuaded that thee also. Verse 6, wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up what? The gift of the Most High, which is in thee by putting on of my hands. Verse 7, for the Most High have not given us a rakah of what? Fear. Joshua just said that. Don't be afraid. Don't have that fear upon you. When you have fear, are you afraid? That's a lack of faith. That's a lack of faith. To have fear and have the spirit of fear, we know it's a spirit. We know it's a rakah because it's telling us here in 2 Timothy 1:7. For the Most High have not given us. He could have just said fear, but he said the spirit of fear, letting us know that that's a spirit. That's a rakah. That's an actual malak that jumps on you or that's within you of fear. And that fear brings you down and holds you down, and you can't have faith if you have fear. Because fear is being scared of something, the unknown, what might happen. But we don't have that fear because we know what's going to happen because the Most High told us through his only begotten son, Hamashiach Yahawashi, and we don't walk in fear. We don't walk as children of the dark. It's not going to overtake us, I should say, as the Bible says. But 2 Timothy is letting us know, for the Most High have not given us a rakah fear, but of what? Power. How come nobody never really speaks about the power that was given to us? Did you know, as a believer of Christ, the anointed one, Hamashiach Yahawashi in the Hebrew, did you know that you have power here on earth? You were given power here on earth. That's all the way from Genesis all the way to Revelation that we were given power. And when I say Genesis, we know when you read Genesis, Adam was given what? Dominion over everything under the earth, right? All the fowls, all the beasts, everything. He had dominion over everything. That's power, authority. The same thing is being said here in 2 Timothy that we have been given what? Power. And when you're given power, it's a certain type of authority that comes with that power. And you can't have that spirit of fear upon you. It's telling you this. And love and of sound mind. And of sound mind, as it said. Verse 8. Be not thou therefore ashamed of this testimony. See? Don't be ashamed. Some people get ashamed when you bring up Hamashiach Yahawashi. Right? Some people get ashamed. Some people are scared to declare that they believe in Christ. Right? They're kind of shy around other people, of the world because they don't want to kind of get pointed out or finger or, the way you may not agree with some of the things of the world. So it's better sometimes for you to just not say anything. No, speak up. Don't be ashamed of who you are as a believer in Hamashiach Christ. This is what Paul is saying. Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our master, nor of me, his prisoner, which is Paul. But be thou partakers of the afflictions of the gospel according to the power of the Most High. So Paul is saying, don't be ashamed. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But be partakers in the afflictions that I went through, that the apostles are going through, and everybody else that believes in the Most High and Hamashiach Yahushai, they are going to go through what? Afflictions. And Paul is telling us, encouraging us to be a part of this. Verse 9, who have saved us and called us with the holy or Quadash calling, not according to our works, right? Because there's nothing we did. We were already chosen before the foundations of the earth, right? And if you happen to have this calling upon your life, all praises be to the Father Yahweh, that you were called and predestined and chosen, right? Especially if you listening and watching this and you have the understanding of what's being said. That's why he says a holy calling, not just any kind of calling, right? But a holy calling, not according to our works, meaning it's nothing that you did. Just like when it was the two children in Rebecca's stomach, it's nothing that they did. They hadn't even been born yet. So it's nothing you did, right? You wasn't that beautiful. Your physique wasn't all that, right? You didn't preach all that. You didn't know all of the precepts. Like, it's nothing you did. It was by who? The Most High's mercy that he chose you, that he called you. But it says, but according to his purpose, Salakia, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given us in Hamashiach Yahushai before the world began. Right, Khan. Nothing you did. So don't take and say, oh, well, no, you didn't do anything. It was according to his own purpose. You can see it right here on the screen. Let me highlight that part. But according to his own purpose, grace, which was given us in who? Hamashiach Yahushai. Before the world began. They was doing this before you was even created. As they were creating you, they were putting, when I say creating you, creating the rakaz, the souls, right? The spirits, they were putting some on the left and they were putting some on the right. If you are here today, and I'm speaking to those that are alive, right? We know the ones that have passed already that are asleep. They made their choices. But if you're here today and you have that understanding, then you should be so happy, joyful, glorious that what? You were actually handpicked by Hamashiach and by the Father to be set on the side and be what? Called to a what? Holy calling. All praises be to the Father Yahweh. You should be ecstatic about that. Verse 10, and I'll stop right here. It says, but is now made manifest by the appearing of our Savior, Yahawashi Mashiach, who have abolished what? Death, and have brought life and immorality to light through the gospel. Now we have the gospel. But in order to fully understand and be grounded in the gospel, you must have what? Faith. And we know faith without works is dead. So how do we walk by faith, right? How do we walk by faith? Let's go back to the book of Hebrews real quick. I told you we was going to go back. And there's so many things in here. And I know I could have went with Abraham. I could have went with Eric, but I want to go with Moses, because in this particular thing, Moses, we know Moses was in Egypt. We know Moses probably would have became Pharaoh, right? If not Ramsey, but, you know, Moses did have the greatest chance to become Pharaoh. Pharaoh loved Moses like his own son. So as we read this, right, remember, we're not given the spirit of the Rakah fear, right, but love. Don't be dismayed at these people. So when we read Hebrews 11 and 23, it says, by faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months out from his parents, right? Because they saw he was a proper child. And they were not afraid of the king's commandment. See, notice you keep seeing something about fear. Don't be afraid. It's a lot of fear going on within the Bible, within the world. And fear takes away from your what? Faith. Had they feared the Pharaoh's command, had they feared the king's command, they would have put their child to death, or they would have gave their child up to be put to death. But they didn't have that fear in them. What they did have was faith. They didn't have the spirit or the rakah of fear, but they had faith. So they said, hey, with the king, with the Pharaoh, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep our child. We're going to hide him for 3 months. Verse 24, by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, meaning when he came to the understanding, when something happened inside of him, the rakah, the spirit came up alive. He says, refuse to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. That's only the spirit impelling you, calling inside the Most High, is calling Moses within the inside of him, telling him that it can't be like this. You cannot live like this. You wouldn't be able to live with yourself. To live in this world with all of these things of Egypt, the jewelry, the clothes, the money, the women, the power, the authority. But the Most High is calling on him, on his spirit, on his rakah, and saying, you can't live like this. You can't be like this. You're a child of the Most High. You are a Hebrew. And we know Moses was a Hebrew. Verse 25, he says, choosing rather to suffer affliction. Didn't Paul just say, join the affliction? I just read that, 2 Timothy. Paul said, join the affliction of the gospel. This is what Moses did. Moses joined the affliction of the gospel with his people. He chose rather to do that than stay where he was in Pharaoh's house. That's faith. That's faith. You have to choose to go through what? The affliction. You have to. There's no easy way around it. This is the way the Most High has it set up. You have to go through the furnace of fire. And it says it right here in the New Testament, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 25. He says, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High. He didn't go do it just because. He didn't go do it for anybody else. He did it because this is the way of the people of the Most High. This is the people that have faith. This is the people who understand how to walk by what? Faith. Moses gave something up. He gave something up. What are you willing to give up? In this life that we live in, we all have to sacrifice and give up certain things. This is how you have the understanding how to walk by faith. It says, then to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Moses chose to do this. Moses chose to do this, then to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. And you have to ask yourself, are you willing to give certain things up of pleasure, of sin for a season? Because it's not forever, right? This world is going to be destroyed anyway. And most people only live to about 60, 70. It said it's a what is it? How many? 1,000 days is one day to the Most High. We don't even live 1,000. Like I said, we don't even live 100. Some of us only make it to 50, 60. So in that amount of time, are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to suffer the affliction than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a period of time? And that's what you have to ask yourself. This is what living by faith is about. This is why it says in verse 24, by faith, Moses. And then in verse 26, it says, esteeming the reapproach of Hamashiach greater riches than the treasures in Egypt. For he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith, he forsook Egypt. It was only by faith. That's what the Bible is letting us know. It's by faith. Why? Because I read it to you earlier in the book of Romans 8. That spirit, it was bearing what? Witness of Moses. Letting Moses know, hey, you are a child of the Most High. You are a Hebrew. Because for a long time, he thought he was the child of, Pharaoh's daughter. But when that spirit came alive, the Rakah came alive, there was no denying it. The Most High wouldn't allow him to stay in that position. So it says, by faith, he forsook what? Egypt. He forsook that what? Bondage. The same Egypt that we in today. Now, if you believe in Deuteronomy 28:68, then that's Egypt. You read Exodus 20:2, Egypt is to bondage. So it's the same thing here today, Hebrews 11:27. By faith, he, which is you, me, you what? Forsake or forsook what? Egypt. You don't want to do the things in Egypt. You don't want to be a part of what's going on in Egypt. Not fearing the wrath of the king. No, we don't fear the wrath of the king, the president, whoever it is, prime minister, whoever it is. We don't fear that because we haven't been given the spirit of what? Fear. We have not been given the spirit of fear. You know who we fear? The Most High Yahawah and his only begotten son, Hamashiach Yahushua. That's who we fear. And he told us, don't fear men, right? Don't fear the man that can kill the body, but fear the Most High that can kill the body and the Rakah, the soul. So it says, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured and seeing him who is what? Invisible. Invisible. And we know later on, if you know the story about Moses, he never really seen the Most High, but he seen things of the Most High, the fire, the clouds, when he come down into the tabernacle, the wind blow, his backside, it's a lot of things that he did see. And he dealt with Moses like face to face. He didn't speak to him in parables and things like that, or similitudes, so Moses was able to deal with the Most High on another level. Just like when he went into the tabernacle, or he went to the Most High and his face shined when he left. The glory of the Most High was on him, so much that he had to cover his face. Now imagine all that he did. Imagine if he would have stayed there and said, you know what? No, I'm gonna just chill here in Egypt. I got it good. I might become Pharaoh. If not Pharaoh, then I'll be a little bit up under him. I still got all my riches, my gold, my jewelry, my clothes. I still got everything going for me. The children of Israel, I'm not gonna say they wouldn't have been free, because the Most High would have used somebody else, right? He would have used somebody else. But he chose Moses to do this. Mashah in the Hebrew. He chose him to do this, to go across the Red Sea, to lead his people. And not only him, but his brother Aaron and his sister. To be honest, Miriam, she had a big part to play in it. And Aaron did too. So we have to understand, by faith, all these things happen. All these things were happening by faith. And these are examples for us on how to walk by faith. Beautiful examples. Great examples. Mashah, Paul, or Sha'al, however you want to say it. If you want to do English, Hebrew, But let's go to a couple more, And like I say, the water for those that are tuned in. Shalawam, Aqua Dorothy. The water for tuning in. Chapter Man says Khan. The Aqua Dorothy says listening in while at work. All praises. The water for that. See the Aquas. Even though she at the plantation, even though she doing things for the, for the enemy, of course we got to do things for our enemy. She's still getting that word, She's still feeding that rakah, getting that daily bread in, as we're supposed to get, right? If you say your prayers, it says, give us today our daily bread. A lot of people don't even receive their daily bread. Well, how can you continue to fight if you're not eating? Whatever you put inside your body is nutrients to be able to sustain yourself as you go out in the world. Well, it's the same thing with the word. If you're not feeding your rakah, how can you be able to go out in this world and be able to fight longevity? Just think about that. Khan. Chapter Man says Khan. So let's get back to it. Hebrews 11. I'm gonna go to Romans real quick. Let's go to Romans. Remember that in the book of Hebrews chapter 11, though, it has, like I say, I just use Moses, but it goes through everybody. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Enoch. It goes down the list, everybody, right? I just chose to use Moses because in his situation in Egypt, and I just feel like I know we're in Babylon, but we're in a certain type of Egypt, which is bondage. And you have to give those things up of this world. And Moses was willing to do that. He was willing to give up the riches of Egypt, the riches of this world, the status, the power, the authority, whatever you have within this world that we live in. Moses, as our brother, was willing to give those things up because he esteemed the riches of who? The Most High and Hamashiach Yahawashi higher than those things. And he was willing to suffer the affliction. That's why I chose Moses in that. And it says by faith. He did all these things by what? Faith. Which is a beautiful example for us. And there's many examples to what? Know how to walk by faith. Walking by faith is sacrificing, esteeming the things of the Most High and Hamashiach Yahawashi greater than the things of this world. Not falling victim to this world, not going to the right hand or to the left hand. Also, as I read in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 7 on down, being very what? Courageous, not being afraid, not having the spirit of fear on you. So it's not just one thing, it's a multitude of things that you need in order to walk by faith. Let's get some of this in the book of Romans chapter 1. I'm going to go down to verse 17. I am going to read this in the New Living Translation. I know some people just like King James, but bear with me. And I'm doing this for comparative text, right? So we'll read this, Romans chapter 1, verse 17, in the New Living Translation. And it says, this good news. Notice it's talking about what? Good news. So this is what we're talking about, right? This good news tells us how the Most High makes us right in his sight. This is accomplished from start to finish by what? Faith. From start to finish, Paul is saying, this is how this is accomplished. From start to finish by what? Faith. As the scriptures say, it is through faith, Shalakia, it is through faith that a righteous person has life. Think about that. It is through faith that a righteous person has life. So if you have faith, you're considered righteous. Real faith. And it's going to take you to what? Everlasting life. Why is that so? Let's continue to read. Most of us should know that if we have true faith, how is it going to lead to life? Because if you have true faith, like Moses just did, he was willing to what? Sacrifice those things, as I said, of Egypt, of the world, the riches, the power, the authority. And he would rather go through the afflictions of the gospel. For who? Hamashiach Yahushai. For who? The Most High Yahawah. Right? Verse 18. It says, but the Most High shows his anger from the Shemayim against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. They know the truth about the Most High because he has made it obvious to them. So these people, it's a lot of people within the world, like it says, 2.9 billion Christians in the world. But do they truly have faith? Are they truly walking by faith? No, they're not. They're truly not. Because if they had faith and they truly believed in the Most High and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai, Hamashiach Yahushai says, if you love me, John 14 and 15, if you love me, keep my commandments. Those 2.9 billion Christians will tell you that the commandments are done away with. We do not need to keep the commandments. So their faith is not genuine. But he's relaying to us that it should be what? Obvious to them. They know the truth about the Most High because he has made it obvious to them. Verse 20, for ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth, the sky, through everything the Most High made. They have clearly seen his invisible qualities. I spoke about it earlier. The wind, the snow, the hail. Everything that you see, the sun come up every morning, the moon, the stars, the shooting stars, the rising stars, the eclipse, the blood moons. All these things are signs from the Most High. His eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing the Most High. So when people say, well, I read the Bible, I really don't understand, or I don't believe in the Bible, I don't. These are excuses. And the Bible is telling us that they have no excuse. So you can tell me an excuse, but that doesn't make your excuse valid. The Creator and his only begotten Son, through the Spirit of Paul, is letting us know that there is no excuse. You could try to make one up, but it's not going to be valid on that day you go stand in front of Hamashiach Yahushai or the Father. Because he's going to tell you, so they have no excuse for not knowing the Most High. There is no excuse. You could try to present one, but he's going to tell you that that excuse is not valid. I showed you. Every day of your life that you were here on earth, I showed you. You chose not to believe. You chose not to have faith. You chose not to sacrifice the things of Egypt, of this world. Those pleasures, those desires. See, to walk by faith is giving something up in this world. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. This walk is a sacrifice. That's why Paul says that in the book of Romans chapter 12. It is your reasonable duty to what? Offer your body as a living sacrifice. That's the least that you could do after Hamashiach Yahushai has laid down his life already. That's the least that you could do. Like it says, there's no excuse. Verse 21. Yes, they know the Most High, but they wouldn't worship him as the Most High or even give him thanks. They wouldn't even say the water for waking me up, Abba. They wouldn't even say the water for my children, my wife, my life, breath. They wouldn't even say the water. And Paul is elaborating, letting us know these things. That's why the epistles are so beautiful, because we get insight not only to believers that had true faith, but unbelievers. And they begin to think up foolish ideas of what the Most High was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. Same thing today, right? This is why you have all of these images. And listen, to our community, to the 12 tribes of Israel, please stop making images of the Most High and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushua. I know there are a lot of images out there that you could click on, that you could post, and, you know, with the big afro sitting in the clouds, sitting in the Shemayim, and all of these different things. But let me just tell you, you know, we've all been there, and I had to come to that understanding through the Spirit that that's idolatry, because you don't know how the Most High look. Yes, he gave us some insight. He had woolly hair. He sat down. He had a robe on, things like that. His feet was burnt in the furnace and all of these things. But that didn't tell you to go and create an image and put it out there and then put Hamashiach Yahushai on it. And especially the Father. So as a people, we need to stop doing that, because we're you know, it's just as bad as the other nations. And you want to call it art. That's not art. That's mockery against our Creator. So I just wanted to establish that and say that, Salaki, about that. And they began to think of foolish ideas of what the Most High was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. 22, claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. And remember, I started off this lesson in Psalms 14. What? The fool have said in his heart that there is no Most High. But yet they be claiming to be what? Wise. Right? You have the Darwin, right? You have agnostic people. You have people that say, oh, I just believe in a greater power out there. But I don't believe you have to, you know, live this way or live that way. But it is a greater power. That's a cop-out. That's basically saying that there is a greater power, that there is a Most High. But as far as this Bible that was given to us, I don't believe that this is the word of the Most High. And see, any man or woman that truly has not read or have the understanding of the words that was given to us, that you know this is a spiritual word, and it goes inside of you internally and cleanses you from the inside out. If you don't have that understanding, then yeah, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not for you. But they claim that they're wise people, you know, and this is how they came up with the Big Bang. You know, it just happened. Which mean what? They want to take glory from our Creator. Verse 23, it says, instead of worshiping the glorious, ever living Most High, they worship idols made to look like mere people and birds and animals and reptiles. You can go anywhere right now and see statues of people, of birds, of animals, of reptiles, and people worship them, right? They got that thing, the elephant, you know, I don't know if it's Hindu or, you know, they worship these things. You know, Indian people, I know in their country and their religion, they worship cows, or they think that they're sacred, or they also worship rats, and they think rats, you know, like these are animals. Instead of worshiping the Most High, this is what these people have done. I'm going to stop right to this. After 24, it says, so the Most High abandoned them to do whatever shameful things their hearts desire. And that's where you don't want to be. You don't want to be where the Most High leaves you and just leaves you to your what? Fleshly desire. Because when you leave someone to the fleshly desire, it's just you and Satan, you and Hasatan. And believe me, he's going to have you destroy everything. Because it says he came to kill, steal, and what? Destroy. And he hasn't finished his job, his task, unless he has destroyed you. And as a result, they did vile and degrading things with each other bodies. And the reason I'm going to stop there because it's going to go into other things about like homosexuality and things like that. But we have to understand what Paul is expressing to us, that there is no excuse. When you see the sun come up, you see the moon, you see the stars, you see the hail, you see the rain, you see the floods, you see the tsunamis, you see the earthquakes, you see the hurricanes. Like these are signs and wonders from the Most High, letting you know. But people still, in their heart of hearts, don't want to have faith, don't want to walk by faith, and don't want to believe. And he's crying out. He's telling you that this is what it is. Even James told us. Let's get that real quick. James chapter 1. Right? James chapter 1. Rejected for the kingdom to come. Come. That's what chapter man said. You know. Let's get this real quick. James chapter 1, verse, I think I'm going to start at 21. Listening and doing, it says. I'm going to start at 21. James chapter 1, verse 21. It says, so get rid of all filth and evil in your lives. Remember, this is Hamashiach Yahawashi, Christ, the anointed one, the Savior, the one who was smeared with oil. This is his brother, right? It says, so get rid of all filth and evil in your lives. You have faith. This is something that you have to do. You have to get rid of all what? Filth in your life and all evil. This is how you walk by faith. And humbly accept the word of the Most High has planted in your hearts. The only reason you here today and watching this, or may watch this at a later time, right, or just hear the words in general, for those that get up and read and study and hearken to the word, is because the Most High has planted it in your hearts, as he said. You didn't do it on your own. You didn't just come to all of a sudden, oh, this is what I want to do. No, the Most High has planted it in your heart. All praises be to the Most High. This is why I say all praises be to the Most High Yahweh. It's imperative that you understand that. He did this. He gets the glory. He gets the honor. But yet in Christianity, they give it all to Yahawashi. But Yahawashi said, give it to the Father. There's one. You know the story. The rich young ruler, when he came, fell on his knees to Yahawashi, said, Master, what must I do to enter into the kingdom or get eternal life? What did he say? Why do you call me good? There's only one good. That's the Father. It's only one. The reason Yahawashi knows how to be good is because he said, I do everything that I see the Father do. Whatever the Father do, that's what I do. Same thing he told us. Whatever the Father do, he do. Whatever I do, you do. Because whatever the Father do, I do. And if you do what I do, then you doing what the Father do. That's why he told Philip, if you see me, you see the Father. Because I'm doing the same thing that the Father doing. Don't you know the Father is a Rakah? He's a spirit. But whatever he do, I do. So if you see me, you see him. Just as well as somebody see you, they should see Hamashiach Yahawashi. As a believer, if they see you, they should see the spirit, the Rakah of Hamashiach Yahawashi within you, walking by what? Faith. Doing what? getting rid of all filth and evil in your lives, and humbly accepting the word of the Most High has planted in your hearts, for it has the power to save your souls. It has the power to do such a thing. James is relaying this to us, that it has the power to save your souls. Remember, I read earlier, it will give you life. But those that forsake it, it will bring forth what? Death. Verse 22. But don't just listen to Ahchyam's word. You must do what it says. Otherwise, you're only fooling yourselves. All those 2.9 billion people, they're just fooling themselves. That's why Hamashiach Yahawashi is going to say on that day, when they say, Master, Master, he's going to say, depart from me. Those who work what? Iniquity. They're going to say, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out demons in your name? Have we not? He says, depart from me. Those who work what? Iniquity. Iniquity is sin, which is lawlessness. Which is lawlessness. And he says, depart from me. Why? Because you're only fooling yourselves. You have a Bible. You go to church on Sunday. You know, you think you're walking in faith. You think you're walking with the Most High. You think you're walking with Hamashiach Yahawashi, Christ, the anointed one. But James, his brother, said, hey, you must do what it says. You got to do what it say do. And it just said you have to get rid of all filth and evil in your life. Highlight. And he came right after that and said, you must do what it says. You must. There is no doubt about it. You have to do. It ain't none of this Christianity where we all fall short and, the only one that's able to walk in righteousness is Hamashiach Yahawashi, and we can't do it because we in the flesh. And listen, Hamashiach Yahawashi said do it. James, his brother, said do it. Paul said do it. Peter said do it. Every prophet from the beginning of time have been saying do it. And they wouldn't tell us to do it if it cannot be done. That doesn't make any sense. You're going to tell somebody to do something that cannot be done? So you set me up for failure? You lying to me? You telling me to do something that cannot be accomplished? That would be deceivery. So you telling me my Father, the Creator, his only begotten Son, is telling me to do something, but deceiving me at the same time? And you calling him a liar? Because I thought the liar was who? Devil. That's what the Bible says. He has been a liar since the beginning. So we have to be careful with the thoughts and watch what people say. This is what I mean. In order to walk by faith, it's not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the timid. It's not for those who have the spirit of what? Or the rakah of what? I said it earlier. Fear. You got fear, you got to go. You got to go. James says you only fooling what? Yourselves. Verse 23. For if you listen to the word and don't obey it, it is like glancing at your face in the mirror. You see yourself, walk away, and forget what you look like. Have you ever forgot what you look like as a person? Just a question. I wonder. Have you ever forgot what you look like as a person? And I know we look at ourselves in the mirror all the time, every morning, most of us, for those who wash their face and brush their teeth and things like that. But have you ever forgot how you look as an individual? Most people would say, no. How can you forget how you look? This is what James is saying. You forget the type of individual or the person you are. You said you was a believer. You say you believe, you have faith in Hamashiach Yahawashi, Christ, the anointed one himself, and his Father, our Father. You say you believe in the law, statute, and commandments. That's what you said. But then when you walked off, you conducted and carried yourself in a way and went back into filth and evil. Well, that's contrary to what the word says. It says in verse 25, but if you look carefully into the perfect law that sets you free, remember, it will set you free. How? Because you won't be in this darkness anymore, right? You understand that the world we live in, we're just here for a period of time. We're just pilgrims here. We're making our journey here. This is our journey place. This is somewhere, as Ezra put it in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7, verse, not going to go to the last part. I'm going to go to the early part. I want to say about 13, 14, where he said it's like a man, right, going across. But it's so narrow. This place that we need to get to is so narrow that only one man can go at a time. There's fire on one side, water on one side. But you have to pass through this narrow path in order to get your inheritance on the other side. Our inheritance is the kingdom. This is our journey and our path and pilgrimage here on this earth that we have to pass through, and you have to overcome it here in order to get your inheritance on the other side. Those that have never read 2nd Ezra chapter 7, I encourage you, go read that right after this. 2nd Ezra chapter 7 is right in the beginning. If you can, read the whole chapter, but what I'm actually speaking about right here is about, in the first few verses. So I encourage you to go back and read that, right? Once again, verse 25. But if you look carefully into the perfect law that sets you free, and if you do what it says and don't forget what you heard, then the Most High will barak you for doing it. He will barak you. All the way back from where we first started, right? Joshua, you be courageous. You don't have the spirit of fear. Don't be dismayed. It says, wherever thou goest, so wherever you do, you shall be what? Prosperous. Joshua 1:7 on down. Same thing is saying here in the book of James. This is what I mean, that they coincide together. The same thing that's being said there is the same thing that's being said here. All you have to do is really look at it and bring it together. But you can't forget what you heard. As I said, you can't forget. Right? You can't forget. You can't remember that, but then don't remember this right here in verse 21, where it says, so get rid of all filth and evil in your lives. You can't have one without the other. You got to remember verse 21 and also remember verse 25. You have to. And the Most High, YAHAWAH, will barak you for it. The very next chapter goes into the same thing when it talks about, faith without works is dead. James chapter 2. I'm just going to get right to it. This is not going to be a long one. I'm going to get ready to wrap it up. So just bear with me. I'm almost done. James chapter 2, verse 20. How foolish. Can't you see that faith without good deeds or without works is useless or dead? Can't you see that? If you can't, something is wrong. Verse 21. Don't you remember that our ancestor Abraham was shown to be right with the Most High by his actions when he offered his own son? You remember Isaac, when he offered him and put him at the altar. And he asked him, hey, where's the sacrifice, Dad? What did he say? The Most High will provide. Imagine. He got the sticks. He got everything. They going up. And then the son turns around and asks him, Dad, where's the offering at? Did we forget it? Abraham says, the Most High will provide. Verse 22, you see his faith and his actions. So how do we walk by faith? How do we live by faith? You got to have faith and believe in the Most High, Hamashiach Yahushai. Believe in the Most High. But then you actually have to put action behind it. You have to do the things that he said do. Get rid of all that filth. Get rid of all that evil. Get rid of all that malice. Get rid of everything that's inside of you and become what? Born again, that new person. Be renewed in the what? Faith, in the spirit, in the rakah. Get that flesh off of you. And his action worked together. His actions made his faith complete. So your actions, your deeds, your works will make your faith complete. You want to know how to walk by faith? Well, do the action, do the work. Do the work. And I'm not saying go out and preach and things. I'm saying do the work, the words that were given to us, live a better life. Get rid of all evil, filth, no wild parties, no pork, no, all, I'm not going to go down the list, but all those things that were given to us. Live as a pilgrim here on this earth, as Paul said, Romans 12. Don't be conformed to this world, as Peter said. Verse 23. And so it happened, just as the scriptures say, Abraham believed the Most High, and the Most High counted him as righteous because of his faith. He was even called the friend of the Most High. Verse 24. So you see, we are shown to be right with the Most High by what we do, not by faith alone. So it's good to have faith. All praises. You got faith, but you got to do work too. You got to put some action behind that, right? You got to put some action behind that. If it's a Shabbat day and somebody say, hey, I need you to come in on Saturday or whatever day you keep your Shabbat. I need you to come in and, I'll pay you a little extra, but you got to say, no, I can't do that. I would love to, because I need that extra money and revenue, but I can't do it because it would go against my Abba. It would go against my brother. And I'm not going to go over them for money, for mammon, for revenue, or for you, whoever. Nobody supersedes the Most High. Nobody goes over Hamashiach Yahushai and the Most High. The buck stops right there. That's it. There's nothing, as Paul says in the book of Romans, there's nothing that can separate us from the love of the Most High and Hamashiach Yahushai, not even death. So nobody can go above that. And I'm not going to throw away my faith and my belief in my Abba and his only begotten son for nobody on this earth. Nobody. My wife, my kids, nobody. Nobody. I always tell everybody who is on Yahweh's side. Whoever's on Yahweh's side, come on this side. And we could be good. We cool. But for the outsider, the one who reject, I have to separate myself from you. And I don't care who it is. It could be my mama, which I have done. It could be my dad. He's passed on. It could be my brother, my sister, my daughter, my son, whoever it is. I will separate you. I will leave you. If it comes between me and the Most High, if it comes between the Most High and you, I'm going to leave. I'm going to stay with the Most High. Because he is faithful and just. And he told me that. Let me get this as we close out. 1 Peter. You know what? Before I go to 1 Peter, let me get Psalms, because I just said that, and then we'll go to 1 Peter and close out. Psalms. Chapter 19, I believe is what I wanted. Is that what I wanted? Yeah. Psalms chapter 19, verse 7. It says, the law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of Yahweh are right, rejoicing the heart. All praises to the Most High. They are right, and it will rejoice your heart. The commandments of Yahweh is pure, enlightening the eyes. Verse 9. The fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold. Yeah, they're much fine gold. sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them is a great reward. What reward? The kingdom. So if you keep it, then you will get the reward, which is entering into the kingdom. But you have to go through the narrow road, the narrow path, as it speaks about in the New Testament, right? Matthew, I believe it's chapter 7, if I'm not mistaken, right? The narrow path, right? That's what it speaks about. This is YAHAWAH Mashiach, the narrow gate. Enter ye at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. It's a very broad way. That's how you have 2.9 billion Christians. And many there be which go that way. It's many people that go that way, 2.9 billion Christians. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto what? Life. And few be there to find it. It's few people that say, hey, hearken to the law, statute, and commandments. Whatever the Most High said, that's what we have to do. Get rid of all filth. Get rid of all evil. Get rid of all malice. I know what we all know. We don't. You can't do it. You must not do it. Don't you understand that this is life and death? There is no middle ground. There is no gray ground. He said he hate lukewarm. He don't want a little cold water, a little hot water. No, either you hot or you cold. There is no middle. There is no middle. This is why I tell you in verse 15, beware of false prophet which come to you in sheep's clothing, but outwardly, or Salakia, inwardly, they are what? Wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do man gather grapes and thorns and figs and thistles? This is what I'm telling the people. You have to understand and know these people by what? Their fruit. And if they're not telling you according to the words of Hamashiach Yahawashi and the Most High Yahweh, then their fruit is off. The things that they're telling you is off. They are what? False prophets. Let's get that real quick. I said 1 Peter, and then I'll close out. 1 Peter chapter 1. 1 Peter 1. I'm going to read it in the NLT. And I'm going to start at verse 7. First Peter chapter 1. Verse 7. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. Though your faith is far more precious than mere gold, so when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when YAHAWAH Mashiach is revealed to the whole world. So just keep pushing forward, or Ahchwathyam. Just keep pushing forward. Don't give up. Don't throw in the white towel. I don't care how much you want to, how hard it is. Just keep pushing forward. Keep pushing. Don't give up. I don't care where you at, what you did, how long you've been off, how long you did. It doesn't matter. You're able to repent. 1 John 1:9. He said he's faithful and just. Repent. Every morning is a new day. That's Lamentations 3. For those who don't know, I believe it's 3:22. Let me see. I don't want to just say it. Let me get that for you real quick, and then we'll go right back. Lamentations 3. Let me see what verse it is. 20. I believe it's 22. The faith and love of Yahweh never ends. His mercy never ceases. Great and faithful is his mercy. Begin afresh each morning, right? If you look at that in the King James, it says, they are new every morning. Great is his faithfulness, right? So his mercies and compassion and everything is new every what? Morning. Every morning is a new day. Every morning. Understand that. I want you to see that. That's the book of Lamentations 3. Because some people had that weight on them and they feel like, oh, well, I did this and I did that. And, I don't know. And listen, man, it says right here in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 21, this I recall to mind. Therefore have I hope. right? For those who don't know who wrote Lamentations, I believe it was Jeremiah. It is of Yahweh's mercy that we are not consumed. We are not consumed, taken away, because of his compassions fail not. So his compassion that he gives us, verse 23, it says, they are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Verse 24, Yahweh is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. So who is he going to hope for? And who is he going to put his hope and trust in? Yahweh. Why? Because he is his portion. And his compassions are new every morning. So every time you wake up, or Ahchwathyam, it's a new day. And you have a chance to be renewed. And that compassion, that mercy is extended to you every morning. So I don't care about what you did yesterday, last week, 2 weeks from now, a month from now. I don't care. All that's in the past. Look forward. And today is a new day. It's a new morning, right? So we have the chance through grace to be able to repent, ask for forgiveness, move forward, and serve the Most High Yahweh. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go to this Peter and I'm going to read this and we'll close out. I already read verse 7. So verse 8. 1 Peter 1 and 8. You love him, though you have never seen him. We love the Most High Yahweh and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai, which I stated earlier, I have never seen. Though you did not see him now, or do not see him now, you trust him. And you rejoice with the glorious, expressible image. The reward for trusting him will be what? Salvation of your souls. So since we trust in him, we have faith in him, we walk by faith, our actions declare that we're walking by faith. Peter is letting us know that you will receive what? The salvation of your souls. Verse 10, this salvation was something even the prophets wanted to know more about when they prophesied about this gracious salvation prepared for you. If you listening right now, this is for you. It was prepared for you and me. They wondered what time or situation the spirit or the Rakah of Hamashiach within them was talking about when he told them in advance about Hamashiach's suffering and his great glory afterwards. So these prophets, they were getting these revelations through the Rakah, through the spirit, and trying to have understanding and insight on it, but it wasn't for them. It wasn't being revealed to them, and it wasn't for them. The message was for us at a later time. Verse 12, they were told that the message was not for themselves, but for you. And now this good news has been announced to you by those who preach in the power of the Kodash Rakah, sent from the Shemayim. It is all so wonderful that even the Malaks are eagerly watching these things happen. So the Malaks are sitting back watching us right now. You know, it's a Malak somewhere watching right now, eagerly watching these things unfold as we give praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Most High Yahweh here on this earth as pilgrims here. Peter says a call to Kodash living, holy living. Here it is here. So think clearly and exercise self-control. This is something we have to have, Ox. You know, this is something that we have to have. We have to have this. Chapter man says, all praises, all praises. He also gave the hands up, right? The prayer hands, all praises. The water for that chapter man. The water for those that are still tuned in, still watching. I know the Aqua of Dorothy was in here in chapter man. I'm not sure who else is in here, but if anybody else is in here, once again, Shalawam, Shalom, the water for tuning in. right? Back to the lesson. As Peter says in First Peter verse 1, verse 13, he says, so think clearly, and exercise self-control. So that's something that we need. We have to have self-control as believers, and we must be thinking what? Clearly. Look forward to the gracious salvation that will come to you when YAHAWAH Mashiach is revealed to the world. No, you won't get your glory now, right? You won't be put up on high. You won't, nobody's going to give you an award, right? You may not get a pat on the back, no accolades, no nothing, but that's okay. That's okay. Because the greatest thing that you're going to receive is when YAHAWAH HaMashiach comes back. And then it says it would be revealed. To who? To the world. Verse 14. So you must live as Elohim's obedient children. So we have to live obedient. If you have faith, Peter, the rock of the church, right? He's telling us that you must live what? An obedient. Obedient to what? To the Most High law, statute, and commandments. This is what Peter is saying. You must live. Not, maybe. Not the church say, well, we all fall. No, Peter said you must. There is no if and buts about it. You must. You have to. It's imperative. You have to. You must live as Elohim's obedient children. He says, don't slip back into your old ways. Don't slip back into your old ways of living to satisfy your own desires. You didn't know any better then. I already kind of went over that earlier for those that were in here when I read Romans 6:20. When you were free from that obligation, because why? You were a slave to sin. You were in darkness. You didn't know any better. And this is what Peter is talking about. You were in darkness then. You didn't have the obligation of righteousness. But now that you're called out of that darkness into the light, right, that you could be illuminated, Peter is saying, don't slip back into that old way when you were in darkness to satisfy the old desires, right? Whatever you were doing, drunkenness, porn, gang banging, robbery, thievery, adultery, whatever it is that you were into, Peter is saying, don't slip back into your old ways. When you didn't know any better, before you had the high calling on your life, before you knew about Hamashiach Yahawashi, before you knew how to say, call Halal Yahawah Shama Mashiach Yahawashi, before you had any understanding, you didn't know any better then. You were just part of this world, going in the same path as everybody else. But the Most High called you out of that darkness into his marvelous light. And now that he has called you, you have to walk by what? Faith. Because, you've been called. But he says, many are called, but few are chosen. Are you just going to be called? Or are you going to become a chosen one? In order to become a chosen one, it says that they walk by what? Faith. And they keep his what? Commandments. They keep his commandments. Verse 15, it says, but now you must be Quadash in everything you do, just as the Most High who has chose you is Quadash, holy. What the word holy means to be what? Set apart, sanctified, right? Consecrated, meaning you only use these particular things on certain times. This is something that's set apart. It's almost like how, and for those who know, like grandmama or somebody that got good china, so to say, good silverware. They only sit those out on special occasions, right? On feast days, things like that. You don't use those regularly. They're just not in the drawer, right? You're just not using those on an everyday basis. Why? Because those are set apart. Same thing for this right here. You are set apart. You are Quadash, a holy one, a saint, something that's consecrated. Why? Because you are of the Most High. That's why you are set apart. This is why he's commanding you. He says, but now you must be Quadash in everything you do, just as the Most High has chose you. He is holy. All right? You got to be holy just as he is holy. But now you must be holy, Quadash, in everything you do, just as the Most High who chose you is who? Quadash. Verse 16, for the scriptures say, you must be Quadash because I am Quadash. So since he's Quadash, holy, set apart, you have to be that too. Why? Because you are a part of him. That's why the demand and the call is so heavy, because now it's like, hey, you a part of him. You know, you walking by faith, like James said, well, you got to do action now. You know, faith without works is dead or useless. You know, you got to do something now. You can't just live the same way you used to live. Now you got to put work in. You got to alter, mortify, as Paul said, mortify the members of your body, of the deeds. And Peter is letting us know we've been called to live what? A holy life and walk by faith. And he says right here in verse 17, and remember, don't forget this, and remember that your heavenly Father, to whom you pray, has no favorites. He will judge or reward you according to what you do, right? He will judge you according to what you do. He doesn't have any favorites. So you must live in reverent fear of him during your time as foreigners in the land. What land? The world we live in today. And you must stay in fear of the Most High. Respect the Most High. Honor the Most High. Glory the Most High. All praises be to the Most High YAHAWAH. All praises. So listen, hopefully it was edifying for you. You know, once again, the water for those that are tuned in. Hopefully this message was edifying. How to walk by faith. Hopefully I gave you some type of insight, encouragement to show you how, not really show, I don't want to say show you because the word is already here to show us, but point you in the right direction, I should say, to encourage you to know how to walk by faith, right? Let me get this last one before I get out of here. And this is just about exalting the Most High. Let me see. We'll go to the book of Sirach, or better known as the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 43, I believe is what I want. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 43. And I'll read this starting at verse 27. It says, we may speak much and yet come short. Wherefore in sum he is all. 28. How shall we be able to magnify him? Talking about the Most High. For he is great above all his works. Everything that you see, his works, he's greater than that. Verse 29. YAHAWAH is terrible and very great and marvelous in his power. All praises be, once again, to the Most High YAHAWAH. Verse 30, it says, when you glorify YAHAWAH, exalt him as much as ye can. Right? So when you glorify him, exalt him as much as you can. For even yet will he far exceed and will, Salakia, and when ye exalt him, put forth all your strength and be not weary, for you can never go far enough. Once again, that's the book of Ecclesiastes in the 1611 King James Bible, also known as the book of Sirach or Sirach, verse 30. And I just want you to know, no matter how much you exalt the Most High YAHAWAH, no matter how much you do for the Most High YAHAWAH, the Bible, the word, his word, lets us know that you could never, never go far enough for him. So always push yourself, because you can never go far enough for the Most High, Yahweh. All praises be to him once again. Like I said, I just wanted to get that in. And once again, hopefully this message was edifying. Chapter Man says the water, all praises. I'm glad that it was edifying for you. The Aqua Dorothy, she says, Shalom, the water for the class. Let me see, your time and your times, the water. Barakatah family, Khan. She says the water for the class and your time, Khan. Hello, Yah, all praises. And Chapter Man says all praises. The water. Once again, faith, Hebrews 11:1, is something that is hoped for and the substance of something that is unseen. So it's okay when people come up to you, scoff you, mock you. Don't take it personally. Continue in the faith, walk by the faith, and do the works in the will of the Most High. Remember that, people. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Keep fighting the good fight. And he said that he will reward those. So remember that, people. Once again, hopefully this is edifying. That's all I got for this morning. Pray for me. Pray for my family. Keep us in your prayers. Tune in to the next live Thursday, 10 a.m. and on the Shabbat, 12 p.m. We look forward to seeing you guys again. And with that, I say Shalawam and Kwam Yasharallah.